Hello friends, and welcome to My Hobby Home. My name is Cathy. Thank you so much for joining me this morning to do the sew along for the disappearing 4-patch. I already have all of my 4 patches made, pressed out. This is our pattern right here. It will be linked down in the description. Okay, so what I'm going to do is show you the items that I'm using to do the disappearing 4-patch. So I have my 4 patches. I have my rotary cutter. I have my OmniGrid, let's see, 18-inch. It's 2.5 by 18-inch ruler. And I have my Fiskars rotating mat. Now my mat, I am going to turn at an angle here. I'm going to put all of these back in place. I am just going to get in and start. So thank you all for joining me. If you are new here, welcome. If you are not new here, thank you so much for coming back and joining me. I'm going to give a little instructions, but first I just want to thank everybody because of y'all, I continue to do this. What we are going to do, you can see my 4-patch down here. I am measuring 1 inch to the side of each seam on both sides. So for this one, and I know I'm holding my cutter wrong, but it's not feasible to do. Let me see if I can get over here to the side to do it like this. Let's see. And that actually don't feel real good for my wrist. So once we cut it that direction, I'm going to make sure I can turn it here. We have to turn it completely around and lay our ruler back down, measure 1 inch on the next side, on the opposite side than what I just cut. And then we're going to turn it just halfway. And we're going to do the same thing with the other seam. We're going to measure 1 inch on each side. And sometimes it's hard if your fabric is close to the same color as your ruler, and my ruler is a fluorescent yellow, and my fabric on the left of this is green, which makes it difficult. So I'm going to turn it one more way, and normally I would do all of them and then I would start piecing them, but I can't do that with this. I have to do them one at a time. So this may be a fairly extended sew along. So now we have our square cut up into pieces. See here, we got them all separated here. We are going to turn each piece a 180. So like this piece right here, we're just going to flip it. This piece, we're just going to flip it. This piece, we're flipping, and this piece, we're flipping. This piece, we're doing the same thing. We're flipping. So what we're going to do is start with our top row and just start sewing it together. Or you can start with the first 2 of each row if you want to do like chain sewing. Because that's probably what I'm going to do, is kind of chain sew it. Cutting my little light on there where I can see my fabric real good. And y'all, I have my ironing station over here to the side of me. So hopefully I don't have to take too much time, but I am going to have to press to sew all of these together. We are sewing this at 1/4 of an inch. So what I am doing is the first 2 of each row. And I'm just taking the second one and folding it over here. So guys, if y'all are joining me in this disappearing 4-patch, this is the first time I have ever done a disappearing 4-patch. I only have about an hour, maybe an hour and a half this evening. So I'm hoping that I can get a good amount done. But you know what? If I only get 1 block done, I still got 1 block done. Okay, so I've got all 3 of those done. I've got to get my little Dritz cutter here. Now, I know this is my bottom one, so I am going to cut them and lay them back where they go. Like this. So that way I know the next one I pick up is going to go right on this. Now some of these have pinked edges, and I think the pinked edges may make it longer or something, because I don't think I used the pinked edge. So what I'm doing is I'm making sure that I line up on the side seams and make sure everything catches here. I have somebody mention that I lean over. It's because if I'm working over here, I have trouble scooting my chair over, because y'all, let's face it, my mat that my chair is on has seen better days. I've told my husband I need another one, because this one, I think this one has been in here. Let's see, my youngest daughter is 24. So I know this mat has been in here at least 5 years. And I don't think these mats are meant to survive that long. Because I'm going to tell you, it's suffering. It has had better days. Okay, and here at the center one, I do have seams that nest. So I'm trying to make sure those seams are perfectly even. Now, they're not nesting. They're, because they're flipped the same direction. But we are going to try to see if we can't get those to even out there. We're hoping they're nesting. We're hoping they're going side by side and the seams actually go right next to one another. If I see that they're not, what I will do the next time is press it the other way. I will just put it on the iron and press it, so when I do put them together, they will nest. So just getting this third row done. I will need to possibly press all of these. I need to check and see though. So I know this is my bottom row. This is my middle. And this is my top. I am going to need to press, so I will be right back. Okay, now we have this put together where we are about to sew our rows together. Well, let's just flip this middle one up because it has all these little squares on it that we need to nest. So once we have them nested, we just come over here and put it on our machine, and we're going to see what we can get come out here. And I'm just going to tell y'all, I just about right then had problems putting it back together because I couldn't remember which way it went. I knew that there was going to be a white with that color above or below whichever block it was, but I couldn't seem for the life of me to get them to come out right. But I got them. They're right. And I've had a long day today, y'all. We have had the birthday party for my grandbaby. Her first birthday party. She had so much fun. She had two of her little cousins with her. One I think is 2 years old. It is her stepbrother's little boy. And then she's the only girl. You know, for 3 of them. I have the 2 grandbabies, and her mama has the 2 grandbabies. Like, I've got a boy and a girl, and she's got a boy and a girl. But, so both of her boy cousins were there, and they were going to have a little swimming party. Yeah, the weather was the absolute worst trying to drive over, because I have about an hour and a half drive, and it was storming the whole way, just about. I mean, there was areas on interstate I was probably not going over 45 because I couldn't see the car in front of me. Thank goodness my vehicle came. And it slowed me down every time I got close to somebody. But y'all, I really could not see. It was that bad. And I wasn't the only one that couldn't see. There was a lot of people with their hazard lights on. We were just driving slow, getting it done. We made it, though. I mean, we made it in good time. But my dad and my stepmother went, and my aunt went. So on our side of the family, we had the grandmother, me, Grammy. We had, now my husband is off at work, so he wasn't able to come in. And then we had my oldest daughter and her beau. I'm going to call him a beau. It's her man friend. And they came, and on the way, they had a flat. Well, my youngest daughter's fiance told me that they didn't have really bad weather coming in, but we had like torrential downpour, couldn't see the road, couldn't see the person in front of us. So I guess I am glad that my youngest daughter can't be to anything on time. They were probably an hour late. So the birthday party really didn't get started until late because my daughter-in-law, her stepdad, was late, but he was going to pick his son and grandbaby up too. So that's one of the other cousins. Cutest little red-headed boy you'd ever see. And so they all kind of got there. So the party actually started about 3 o'clock instead of 2. Okay, I'm going to press, and I'll come right back. Okay, so that's my disappearing 4-patch. That's block number 1. I think it's going to take a little time to do these because I can only do one at a time because I would really mess something up if I did more than one at a time. So I'm just going to take my time, go slow. I'm getting to sew, so it don't matter. And this is going to be one of my grandbaby's Christmas quilts. I'll make them a Christmas quilt for here and a Christmas quilt for their house. But anyway, talking about the situation with the flat tire and the whole thing, it all worked out fine. I mean, and my daughter-in-law called me this morning. She's like, "You're not going to believe this." I'm like, "What?" She was telling me about the birthday cake. She said, "We ordered a 12-inch round cake with a dozen cupcakes to go around the cake." And I'm like, "Okay." She said, "We were wondering why it wasn't as much they originally quoted us for." And she said, "So we thought maybe they just misquoted us." She picked the cake up, and when she opened it up, the cake was only 6 inches around. And they did have the 12 cupcakes, but the cake was so small they couldn't put the baby's name on it. So they were both upset over that. And I'm like, y'all, I'm like, do I need to go pick cupcakes? No, it'll be okay. It'll be okay. And it's a good thing that things like that happen for a reason, y'all. I'm a firm believer in that. And the reason I say that, a lot of people were not able to come. She had some family that was not able to make it because they'd been sick and didn't want to expose anyone. And we're very thankful for that. And then, like, some of her family ended up having to work because it's like the end of the month, and one of them had to work because it's the end of the month. Y'all see what I'm doing? I'm trimming some pieces up. The reason I'm trimming them is because they have that pinked edge, and the pinked edge is actually bigger than what it should be. And I'm trimming that pinked edge off. So y'all know it's going to take me a long time because these charm packs had that pink edge on them. And I just kind of clean them off, It's okay. But so she had, people that were at work, working that couldn't make it, and sick that couldn't make it. And like, for my family, I knew they weren't going to be able to drive that far. So I didn't even, I don't know, maybe it was mean of me. I didn't even invite them because I just knew most of them were not going to be able to drive that far. But on her daddy's side and her mama's side, all 3 of her aunties were there. And to me, that is all, the mama and the daddy, all their siblings were there. Now, my daughter-in-law, she has 2 stepbrothers, and only one of them was able to make it. But he has a baby, and he brought the baby, and his wife had to work. So, sometimes that just happens. And everybody understood, I mean, it is what it is. People have to work. And, you know, if I had to have worked, it would have been awful. I wouldn't be working there. Because I have an absolute great boss. And he believes your family first. And if I needed to take off for something for one of my grandbabies, he knows I'm going to take off. Because my grandbabies and my children are first and foremost. And he understands that because he is the same exact way. His family, because he also is a caretaker for his mother. And so, you know, I work for some great people. I'm just going to say that. I work for some really great people. I'm very blessed to work for some really great people. But, you know, I'll do anything that I can for my babies and grandbabies. You know, whatever they need help with, they know I'll help. But things aren't always free. If they need help, I need help too. I need help cleaning my house. My youngest daughter, she came over and folded a load of laundry for me. And I'm so appreciative that she did. And she was going to wash my dishes, but when I went in there this morning, I've got a sink full of dishes just laying there. She's like, well, Mom, I had to let them soak. I don't understand this because, I mean, I wash the same dishes and they ain't never had to soak for me. But, you know, like I said, it is what it is. And when it comes to your kids, they didn't want to wash the dishes when they lived here. They definitely don't want to wash the dishes now. But I had told her I'd pay her if she'd come do my dishes and my laundry and do my floors for me. Because a lot of that, I just can't do. I mean, my back is not in that good a shape. So, a lot of the things I just cannot do. I wish I could do them, but I just can't. But, if she doesn't come back this evening, looks like I'll be washing dishes tonight. And see, when they do chores now, I actually give them a good amount of money because it means so much more to me now because I don't have them here every day to help pick up a little bit here and a little bit there. And I mean, you know, hey, I'm just as messy as they were. I come in and I lay my lunch bag down. I take my bowls and stuff out of my lunch box and put them in my sink. And I kind of rinse them out in the sink. And technically, they're clean dishes. But they do need some soap and a rag passed over them. Okay, I'm going to press these and I will be right back. So we just keep going on. We're adding more together here. And those two are going the same direction. How are they going the same direction? Oh, I pressed these the wrong way. 1 second. Now let's see if this works. I have to try to remember which direction I press my rows. And sometimes that makes it a little difficult for me. Because I want everything to nest. And because I have 3 seams right here that comes together that I want to nest. And I want them to nest tight. And so far, so good. And I want to thank all of my new subscribers. I really do appreciate you clicking that subscribe button for me. I do like to sew. I do like to chit chat. And sometimes That's all I'm doing is sewing and chit-chatting like right now. And, but this here that we are sewing on is a disappearing 4-patch. I did find this as a free pattern online at Material Girl Quilts. There is one that is a video tutorial. The one that I'm doing it on is not the same one, but it's probably the same thing. But in the description, I will have the link to the one that I'm doing it off of. Now, what I did, I just printed her her blog post, I guess is what it is. And when I printed her blog post, I printed this pattern double-sided. So, like, you'll see right here, and then I flip it up. I didn't mean to do it that way, but I did. But it's okay that I did it that way, because I know what I'm doing. And I only need one of the pages. You really, once you start doing this, you don't really need instructions after you do a block. The main thing to remember is when you're cutting, it's only 1 inch on both sides of the block. Oh, that's not going to nest. I can see light through that one. But you'll want to make sure to do the 1 inch on each side of all of the seams. The rotating mat, I feel like, is a must-have, because that way you're not touching your fabric. When I do the next one, I'll show you what I mean by that. Because if you touch your fabric, it can get off kilter a little bit. And you really don't want that. You want it to stay still. You want it to be where it's at. And for my new subscribers, if you're new here and you don't understand why I'm doing a smash the stash, that is my 2024 goal, is to smash my stash. Now, I may purchase some fabrics that will complete all the fabrics I need for a quilt. But at least, well, I say at least. This one here, the white fabric, was part of my stash. So it was in my stash. So I'm using this white fabric that is my alternating light block. I'm using that out of my stash. This pattern only calls for 1 charm pack and then another charm pack of a solid if you want to do it that way. So it literally just takes 2 charm packs. So if you have some charm packs and you're just not quite sure what to do with it, this is a wonderful pattern. Yeah, I know I'm stretched out over here. I'm trying to get me another piece. And y'all, isn't that just so cute? That little kitty cat on there. I love this. I love this fabric. It's called Kitty Christmas. I do have, this is by Urban Chicks. It's called Kitty Christmas. So I have another charm pack here, because I thought I would make one for both of my grandbabies of this design. But I'm thinking for my grandson, I may not do it. This, because it's got little kitty cats with ribbons and bows. You know, I don't think I'm going to make one for him out of this line. I may find a different line that I have and make one for him out of that. They're not going to care what it is anyway, because I'm going to back them with Minky. in our Cuddle Soft. Or I could even do a flannel. I haven't quite decided. Oh, I think I went off on that one. I haven't quite decided what I'm going to back them with, but it's going to be something really, really soft. There's not going to be any batting in this because I don't want it heavy like a quilt. I want it to be real flimsy and flowy, you know, for the babies. And I know, you know, most babies, they like any kind of soft blanket. And yeah, I'm just so upset. I have a blanket that my grandmother made my babies that I cannot find. I don't know what happened to it. I don't know. I don't know where it is. And I'm so upset about that because all three, she made it for my oldest daughter when she was born. Or actually before she was born. And we didn't know what she was. So my grandmother made a little blanket out of like some cute little flannel print. One side for blue for a boy and one side pink for a girl. And I cannot find that little blanket anywhere. So I'm so upset about that. But I can't find it, and I'm upset about it. Because I kept that blanket forever. It just meant so much to me. And I mean, it even had a little hole on one side of it where I don't know what happened at the daycare or something, but somehow it got a hole in the blanket when my oldest had used it. It might have caught on something. I don't remember exactly what happened. But I cannot find that blanket anywhere. I have torn my house up looking for it. And I cannot find it anywhere. Then I thought, well, maybe I lost it in the move because we did move from another house to this one when my son was 3. So my son doesn't know any other house but this one that we've lived in. And I just cannot find that blanket. And I'm so upset about that. Because that was a blanket that my grandma had made my kids, her great-grandkids, you know. So that meant a lot to me. So I'm hoping that I make things that my children cherish for their babies. I asked my youngest daughter the other day because I don't ever see. I see a John Deere little minky. I'm going to call it a blanket. If it doesn't have quilt batting in it, I'm calling it a blanket. But if it has quilt batting in it, I'm calling it a quilt. Even though I did have to do some top stitches like quilting it, I'm still going to call it a blanket if it doesn't have quilt batting in it. So I had made a little John Deere with what's that called, the popcorn minky or bubble minky. You know, years and years ago it was the big fad to have the one that had the little bubbles all over it. Well, I made a little John Deere minky blanket. And I never finished it because I just gave up. I was like, so I guess technically, if you want to say, I made a quilt back then, but I really didn't. I just took a cut piece of fabric and a cut piece of minky, the exact same size, turned them right sides facing together, and sewed part of it together. I didn't have a walking foot, didn't know anything about a walking foot. So you can imagine the kind of mess it made. I got down one side of that minky fabric and I quit. So I did not make a quilt. I started a quilt. I guess you want to call it that. It looked like that did not stitch at all, but it did. Huh. But my Minky blanket that did not happen, I finished it this year because, you know, when my daughter had my grandson, I finished it because then I knew about a walking foot and I knew more about how to sew Minky. I didn't have a clue when I started that little blanket, but now I know. Now I know how to do it, and because I actually think I might have started that for my niece's baby boy. And I ended up giving her something different for him because I just couldn't get it to... I just could not get it to work out. Have you ever had anything like that? That you got good intentions and you know exactly what you want it to look like in your mind, but once you sew it together, it don't look like what you thought it was going to, and it don't sew and act like what you thought it was going to either. But that sure did not do what I thought it was going to do. And guys, I am so happy to give you guys some updates tomorrow for what is going on. We got lots of stuff going on. And I always like when I have some good news, some good updates. I love giving y'all good updates. But this week, I hope to have a little bit more sewing for you guys. I will be bringing y'all along for the Cotton Cuts Wild West clue number 2. Because I did get that on Friday, but I wanted to get this done for you guys. And actually, yes, I am sewing this after Friday. I'm actually sewing this Saturday evening after my baby girl's birthday party, y'all. It was so cute. And I know they might have been upset that a lot of people didn't come, but I think just the right amount of people came for that baby girl. The most important people came. Her family. And my daughter-in-law's best friend that lives 30 minutes in the opposite direction past me, so she definitely had a 2-hour drive. It was so nice to see her. Actually, her best friend and my daughter played ball together. But it was so nice to see them, and I enjoy seeing my daughter-in-law's mother because we actually grew up together. And now she's a good many years older than me. And when I say a good many, I mean like maybe 5 years older than me. Because I think she graduated high school when I was in junior high. We went to the same school together, you know. And where we lived, the school was like kindergarten all the way through high school. So you kind of knew everybody. And everybody knew who your parents were. And you'd better not do anything to embarrass your parents. Or to disgrace your family name. Nowadays, people don't care about their family name, I don't guess. But that was one thing that my grandmother instilled in me. You don't do something that disgraces your family name. Because your name is all you got, is what she would tell me. Your name is all you got. But you know, my thoughts are kids are going to be kids. And it's not the parents' fault if we turn out wrong. I don't think. You know, a parent can only do so much. Got another block done. We've been sewing and ironing for a little over an hour now. So I'm going to close out here. And we got 3 blocks done today. I'm real pleased with that. So let's see. Got our 3. Got our 3 blocks done here. This is going to make a beautiful little quilt or blanket, because I'm not putting batting in this. I'm putting Minky on the back, and I think that'll be thick enough. But that is going to be it for us. And guys, I appreciate you coming and sewing and chit-chatting with me today. If you are joining me in doing this, please put your photos in the Facebook group. I do have a Facebook group. It is linked down in the description. There is a featured tab on the Facebook group. You click that featured tab, it's going to show the 3 sew-alongs that I have going on right now. The Silverstone ended last night at midnight, and actually as I'm recording it, it is still Saturday. It's still going on. But as of midnight Central Standard Time, no more photos that are entered will be considered for our drawing. I will be doing a viewer appreciation gift. If you joined along in the Silverstone and you put your photos or any photos in there of your Silverstone, you will be entered into a drawing. It doesn't matter how many photos you put in there. Your name's only going to be put in the hat one time. That way everybody has a fair chance, you know. It is going to be a fairly decent sized box of goodies, all quilting related that I can think of. But yeah, it's going to be a nice little box of some goodies. And if you would, please click that thumbs up button. Leave me a comment. Tell me what you think. I do try to respond to each and every comment personally. And as always, until I see you again, I hope you have a very blessed day. Goodbye.